The fourth game week of the Premier League has been and gone, and we're going to recap every single game, starting off with Arsenal, who managed to get a 3-0 win at home to Nottingham Forest. Obviously, a very impressive performance, given Nottingham Forest have been quite good recently, but this wasn't it for Ange Postecoglou in his debut. I mean, Nottingham Forest looked a lot like Spurs, and Arsenal looked a bit like Arsenal, but I would say even better than they often look. They dominated Forest here. Obviously, Mati Supermendi scoring twice and Jokers once. An overall really impressive performance. And if you're an Arsenal fan, congratulations, because this is the kind of performance you want to see from your team. So moving on from Arsenal, next up we have Bournemouth Brighton. Very interesting game for us football lovers because I mean we all know how exciting these two teams are, and it's a very high standard of the football, even though they're not the two biggest clubs in the Premier League. And Bournemouth just continuing on, showing their class. I mean, this is again a really impressive win from Bournemouth, beating Brighton, who recently beat Manchester City, as we know, and doing it in quite dominant fashion here. Even though 2-1 isn't dominant, the stats are really good in the favor of Bournemouth. So quite impressive from Bournemouth. They look like they can be a real solid team this season as well. Next up, we have Crystal Palace Sunderland. Not so impressive performance here, if we're going to be honest. I expected Crystal Palace to take this one, and I mean, on the XG, they really performed. But I mean, you can't play nil-nil at home to a newcomer, even though I have a lot of respect for Sunderland, and they are a good team with a lot of good players. This just wasn't good enough from Palace, I'm afraid. Given how good this team is as well, they managed to keep Guehi, but in my opinion, they lacked a bit of edge here, but credit to Sunderland who managed to get a really, really impressive point away at Selhurst Park. The next game up is Everton Aston Villa, another nil-nil game, bit boring. Obviously, here as you see, Martinez back in goal for Aston Villa. I think that surprised a lot of us. And who's the most happy with this one? I mean, Everton dominated Aston Villa on XG, but that doesn't win you points, I'm afraid. And I mean, Aston Villa, what's happening? The transfer window wasn't good, as we covered in my recent video. But I mean, surely you want a bit more than this away at Everton, even though you have to respect Everton. R- Quite a good performance. I think Everton are a bit unlucky to only get 1 point from this one. Next up, we have Fulham Leeds, a game that I guess no one watched because all of the other better games that were on at the same time. But Fulham managed to scrape a win in the last second of the game with Goodmanson scoring an own goal. Very unlucky for Leeds, who fought quite well, in my opinion. But I mean, Fulham have looked good. I think they looked better this game, but as you can see, it was quite tight. Conceding 10 goals at home to Leeds isn't that impressive. So I would have liked to seen a bit more from Fulham here, but they got the result, so I don't think you can put too much blame on them, to be honest. Um, Next up, what did we have? What did we have? We have Newcastle against Wolves, and this I expected to be a real walkover, but it really wasn't. Voltemade, of course, scoring his first Premier League goal. Seeing if he can replace Isak will be interesting, but Newcastle, yeah, I mean, of course they dominated Wolves here, and a win is a win, so we can't criticize them for that. And as we see, 16-8 in shots, sorry, is really good, of course. But I think all of us would have expected Newcastle to win a bit bigger. But of course, it's nice for them to see that Voltemade has found his feet and got a goal there. The next game up was the 6:30 game, I think it was. It was West Ham Spurs, a London derby that Spurs won very easily. I mean, Graham Potter, is it time to go? I honestly believe so. This isn't looking good. All the credit to Spurs. They were the better team. 3-0 is a really nice scoreline as well, of course, in a derby. But the big talking point, in my opinion, is how are West Ham this bad? I mean, the squad they have is good. The players, I mean, Paqueta, Bowen, two world class players, in my opinion, that can play in a lot better teams than West Ham. And sure, you have to give Graham Potter time, but I think it's time to go. And all the credit, as I said, to Thomas Frank and his Tottenham, who managed to get a really impressive win here. Next up, we have Brentford Chelsea, of course, another London derby. The late game on the Saturday. This was, I think Chelsea will be feeling a bit sour after this one, but they did lose unexpected goals, so 2-2 looks like a bit of a, I mean, it's a bit of a justice for Brentford, I think, and it's the right result for this game for us who saw it live. Chelsea managed to dominate the possession, but they weren't good enough. And I mean, Brentford are good, but they have lost Wissa and Mbuemo, as well know. So if they want to do good this season, this isn't cutting it. But impressive from Brentford, has to be said. Next up, we have the first game of the Sunday. Of course, it's Liverpool who managed to get the 95th minute winner against Burnley. I mean, the scenes here as Salah scored that pen. Really unlucky for Burnley, obviously, holding on quite well. And Hannibal maybe giving away a penalty for a handball in the last minute. A bit unlucky, of course, as we see. Liverpool really deserved this win. I mean, this is crazy. 81% possession. I don't remember the last time I saw something as dominant as that. So quite deserved. Obviously, 27 shots as well is just ridiculous. So credit to Liverpool for hanging in there and getting the win in the end. And a bit of credit as well, even though they lost to Burnley, who fought their hearts out. And unfortunately, it didn't get them anything, to be honest, from this game. And lastly, probably the biggest game of the game week, the Derby demolition, as we chose to call it. Manchester City walking over Manchester United, doing anything they would like to them. I mean, the stats here aren't showing the full game, in my opinion, at least, as I saw it. I saw a very flat Manchester United that at no point really had Manchester City in any kind of trouble, if I'm going to be brutally honest here. And I mean, conceding 2.6 expected goals in a derby is just extremely poor for Manchester United. And I honestly thought they could take this one going into it, judging how bad Manchester City's form were, and the fact that it is derby and Manchester United have looked all right. I think it's fair to say at the start of the season, but this wasn't close. All the credit, of course, to Manchester City. I don't think any Man United fans have recovered yet. At least I haven't seen on Twitter. So, yeah, impressive. Haaland obviously getting his brace. Foden with an impressive header as well. Very good assist from Docker there. And to wrap up, we're going to take a quick look at the team of the week for round four here. Obviously, Erling Haaland is the highest rated player there, getting a brace in the derby. But credit as well to Doku and Foden, doing really well in attack, combining with Haaland there. Semenyo, one of my favorite players, really underrated, I think, and a top display from him against Brighton. Marti Supamendi might be the most underrated signing of the summer here for Arsenal, looking incredibly well, not just the two goals, but his midfield display as well. Nice to see also Lucas Bergvall coming into Tottenham. Their midfield looking really promising, and obviously a very young player who has the world at his feet, in my opinion. Going out to the fullbacks, Trippier, nice to see he still got it at his age. Garner, very underrated player, nice to see him in there as well. And two center backs, Romero and Konate, who didn't have a lot to do, but solid display from both of them. And I don't know if you can see them, but Roofs is the goalkeeper as well of Sunderland, obviously managing to keep a clean sheet away at Sellers Park against Crystal Palace. So that's the team of the week. Really impressive performances from a lot of teams here. I mean, in my opinion, the best performance almost is Bournemouth. Real good, at least how they played. But Arsenal, of course, very good. Brentford getting a point to Chelsea. Tottenham dominating West Ham. A lot of good performances all around. Liverpool loss can win those points and moments can really win you the league, I think. And obviously, the big talking point Manchester City is smashing Manchester United. My love goes out to all my United fans who are struggling today. But thank you guys for listening. That's all for this week's review. And we look forward to next week's game week. Catch you guys there.